Freedom of the press under attack again. I'm Brian Lilly with the Rebel.Media. Many of you will recall that just a short time ago, we here at the Rebel.Media had our own run-in on the issue of press freedom when Alberta Premier Rachel Notley and her staff decided that the Rebel wasn't a legitimate news organization and shouldn't be allowed into news conferences. We had support from across the country on that issue. Well, now it's time to stand with a different news organization facing much graver consequences if the courts don't side with them. I'm talking about Vice Canada and their attempts to block the RCMP from taking information on a source. That's right. Journalist Ben Makuch was able to interview Canadian jihadist Mohammed Faroud Shirdan. This is the Calgary man that went over to Syria to join the Islamic State. Well, Makuch was able to do something the Mounties couldn't. He tracked him down. He interviewed him via a social media app. He was able to chat back and forth. It culminated in a widely seen interview between Vice co-founder Shane Smith and Shirdan via an online video conference call.
Hello.
Hi. So
Where are you right now, friend?
we're in New York, and you're in Mosul.
Yes, I am.
So who are your biggest enemies right now? Who are you fighting right now?
The world.
Right.
Everyone in that coalition that's trying to fight Islam and the Muslims. With many martyrdom operations, alhamdulillah.
Now, this is the man that we've seen burn his passport in ISIS propaganda videos. This is a man who threatened New York City, who threatened Canada with future attacks. It's understandable why the Mounties would want to find him, but they shouldn't be turning to a media outlet to force them to hand over information. This is a dangerous precedent. It's much the same as the fight, in some ways anyways, it's much the same as the fight between the FBI and Apple. The FBI wants Apple to create a back door that lets them break through encryption technology so that they can find out about the Sacramento terrorists. Apple says if they do that, then what's to stop China, Russia, and the other countries they operate in from forcing backdoors on them, or the FBI from re-engineering what Apple does for them? There's plenty of people that would say, well, there's terrorists involved, so we need to just throw all of that by the wayside. No, we don't. Freedom of the press is vital. If we make this exception now, then what's to stop the courts, the Mounties, politicians down the road from saying, you know what, we don't like what that person wrote. We don't like what that news organization broadcast. Let's use the precedent and go to the courts. It's a slippery slope, and one that we don't want to be on. Not if we're standing up for the actual principles that we claim to stand by, the principles we claim to hold so dear. Now, when I was at Sun Media, I got to spend a few years calling a great Canadian journalist colleague, Peter Worthington. Worthington is someone who was actually the only journalist ever charged under Canada's Official Secrets Act. He was charged because he published a list of Canadians who had become KGB informants. Then Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau was so incensed that he reportedly ordered the RCMP to charge Worthington himself. They never did get to Worthington's source, and neither should the RCMP in this case of Vice. If you believe in freedom of the press, if you believe in a free media, if you believe that journalists should be able to protect their sources, then you need to stand with Vice. If a lone reporter working alone can track this guy down on social media, what's to stop the RCMP with all their resources? I mean, let's face it, they do have greater resources than a lone journalist working in Canada on the terrorism file. If they think that by taking Ben Makuch's information, they'll be able to track down Shirdan, well, then they're fooling themselves. If he was still using those Twitter aliases and Click Messenger apps under an assumed name almost 2 years ago now, he certainly isn't now. We know that Shirdan has joined the Islamic State. If and when he's captured, the Mounties have more than enough evidence to prosecute him. They shouldn't be turning a media outlet into a de facto investigative arm of the police. If you believe in free media and you stood with Rebel, then it's time to stand with Vice.